Hi, this is Alan Shea, and I'm hosting today our society show with a special story in mind that I'm honored to bring to everyone in television land and everyone who's viewing this show. It is my great honor to be next to my favorite cousin of all my cousins, and who is also the matriarch of our family. I'm here at her home celebrating her 93rd birthday. I thought it would be truly appropriate for all the viewers as well as all the family members to enjoy this journey down family road, I'm going to call it, because we're going to have a pretty lengthy and interesting discussion on family and on my cousin's journey of life. Her name is Miss Lucy Banks, born in September 1929 in Bolton, Mississippi.
Yes.
I'm going to let her share her story with you so that we can, start this journey. I will ask her a few questions as I can see where the journey is going so we can get a lot of good details, because I think this is a very precious moment that we are fortunate enough to record. And we've been planning this for a long time, huh?
Yes.
About how many years? Well, just to let you viewers know, I haven't seen my cousin since 2010, and I haven't been to her home since around 1989 or 90, somewhere in there, over 30 years. So it's given me great pleasure to be here with her and to share her story with you. So I'm going to pass the mic over to her and let her begin her journey. And as she go through that journey, like I said, I may ask a few questions or make notes so that we could really be in tune with how blessed we are to have her here and to have a family member who is not only beautiful, but she has a great recollection of her past, and she's able to communicate that to us. We want to share that with you.
My name is Lucille Banks. I was born 1929 in Bolton, Mississippi. We lived out in the country. We had a house out in the edge of the field where we farmed. We picked cotton, we hoed, we plied, we sawed, and we cut. Cutting wood, sawing wood. Then we get up at least about 6 in the morning. We start going to the fields. We worked until sundown. We got 1 hour for lunch. We come home, eat lunch. 1 o'clock, we go back to the field. And we work until sundown. Then we come home. We have to cook. We had to feed the hogs, the chickens, the cows. Then we come in and cook dinner. And after that, it's time to go to bed. 'Cause we get up early in the morning cooking before we go to the field. We really didn't have no leisure time, only on a Saturday and Sunday. We do a little less work on Saturday. Sunday we went to church. That was our off day. And after that, we back to the field. And we work from sun to sun. My grandmother raised me. Her name was Lucy Newsom. She raised me from 2 months old until she passed, 1939. Then I moved with my aunt, Rena Love. And she raised me from, I think I was 10 or 11, until I got married. So I left one house, went to another house. After I got married, my husband and I, we had 9 kids together. And then he left. He left me with 6 to raise by myself. He got married to a younger woman. So I raised the rest of my kids alone until they got grown. Then I started taking care of my grandkids. But in the meantime, while I was raising my kids, my husband's grandmother was living with me, and she helped me a lot with my kids until she passed. So actually, I wasn't really never alone. It was always somebody in the house until all of my kids got grown. That was the first time I was alone. Until they started having kids, then I started raising them. So I said, they kept me busy raising my kids and their kids. My grandkids, then I helped with my great-grandkids a little till my daughter told them, no, Mama ain't taking care of no more kids. She done taken care of enough. You get somebody else to take care of your kids, or you stay home like she did. Mama didn't go nowhere until her kids was grown enough to take care of themselves. So now it's our turn to take care of her and helping other people take care of their kids while they work. So I was taking care of mine and theirs. I got a lot of kids call me Mama. They remember when I used to take care of them. They'd come over because they know Miss Banks is always cooking, and they know they have something to eat.
As you have heard some of the journey that my cousin has shared with us, we're going to get into a phase of our interview with my cousin as to some of the specifics. Now, in the journey of being in Bolton, let's go back there. Now, you said you live with your grandmother, Lucy.
Yeah.
And you indicated to us that you live with her because your mother gave you up to live with her. Is that what you were saying?
No, she just left.
So your mother, your biological mother, just left you.
Right. I never knew her.
And you never knew her?
When I met my real mother, I was married and had all my kids. I was 33.
Oh, you were 33. So then that would have put her up at about, she would have had to been up in her late 50s, early 60s. Yeah. And so let's go back to when your mother gave you up. You indicated you were how old when she gave you up?
2 months.
So you were 2 months old, and at the time she gave you up, how many siblings do you recall that you had from your mother?
When she left, I was 2 months old. At the time, my father was living, but he passed. I think I was about 7 or 8 months because I never knew him. My grandmother was taking me in 2 months. Because when she left, she just left me in the house on the bed. He was in the field. So when he came to the house, I was laying across the bed, and my mother was gone.
Okay. So why don't you share with us then? So how many brothers and sisters did you know of during your lifetime that you had?
Let me see. I had Pearl, that's my oldest sister. Mamie, the youngest sister. And who else? Oh, I had brothers. J.C., Walter, and Jeannie. So it was seven
Okay.
of us.
And of that 7, what number were you?
I guess I was about the third or fourth child. Because it was, my grandmother said it was 5 before me. But they said it was 4. I said, my grandmother said it was 5. So I don't know if they was including me, because I was the youngest of the 5. But they said it was 4. So I don't know. I don't know about that.
When you were born in Bolton, Mississippi, until you were 10, and you moved with your aunt Rena Love. And when you moved with your aunt Rena Love, where did you move to?
We were still in Bolton.
Okay, so you were still in Bolton. Now you shared your journey about working in the fields. What age were you when you were working in the fields, and were you viewed as just a family member working in the fields, or were you actually a sharecropper who was hired to work in the field for purposes of working in the field to pick cotton, or what type of crops were you picking?
When I first started picking cotton, I think I was 5. But my grandmother had her own place. She had people working for her. We wasn't working for
Anyone else?
Nobody else.
Okay. So when you were working for Grandma Lucy, she was an owner of her own farm or
Right.
plantation, or what would you call it back in the day?
Own farm. Her own farming place.
So was that very common for blacks to own land in Bolton?
No, it wasn't. No.
So can you share with the family members and the viewers who are watching this, what was the common practice of blacks owning land, and how did they sustain their ownership, especially during that period? Because I'm sure it was at the height of the Jim Crow period that really added a lot of pressure on blacks to hold on to their property.
Well, most of the blacks was working for the
You can say it.
the white peoples. They didn't have their own. I guess Mama was just blessed to have hers. So I don't know, maybe her family left it to her. But she had her own place. She had people working for her.
So do you recall the age of your grandmother when you started to live with her, or have any idea how old she was as you were a part of her life?
And the only thing I can remember, Mama, she said she taken me in when I was 2 months and raised me. My father gave me to her when he was alive. And that part, that's all I remember of that.
So what age would you estimate that Grandma Lucy was when you came to live with her? Would you say she was in her 50s, her 40s, her 60s?
Well, She might have been in her 50s. I don't think, no, she wasn't 60. So she had to be either in her 40s or 50s.
So do you remember how old she was when she died?
She was 63,
Okay. And so the reason
69, something like
69. Okay. So the reason why I'm asking you that question is because if she was 69 in 1939, that meant that she was probably born somewhere around around 1879, somewhere around there. So 79 to 19, from 1879 until 1900, that would have put her at 21. And then from 1900 to 1939, that would have put her at, so actually she would have been born in 1869.
somewhere in there. Yes.
So, and which is actually good, because it's actually, and the reason why we're working on these numbers is because we don't have any real records going back to our great-great-grandmother. We actually went to Bolton, Mississippi, my brother and I, my youngest brother, in 2015, and we actually traced our family lineage, both on our Newson family side and also on our Brooks side. And Lucille Brooks was she was your grandmother and my great grandmother.
Right.
And researching our family lineage, we determined that Lucille Brooks was married and or in a relationship with Dave Newson.
Yeah, well, they said they was married,
Okay, so
but we ain't sounding no license.
okay, so we're going to say we were told they were married, and we were unable to confirm that with any type of license. So
Right.
for our historic purpose. However, the beautiful thing with that reunion is that my great grandmother and your grandmother had a combination of 8 children. Am I correct? That between
7.
it was 7 between the two of them.
Yeah.
So that means that she had 4 children prior to her relationship with Dave Newson.
Right.
And she and Dave Newson had 3 children together, and
Boys and one girl.
2 boys and 1 girl. And do you remember those children's name?
Yeah. The girl was named Georgia. And the boys, one was named Dave Newson, and the other one was named Hilliard Newson.
So you had Dave Newson and
Hilliard.
Hilliard.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why we want our family and the viewers to watch this transition here is because the reason why I was calling grandma, or my great grandmother, Lucille Brooks, this shows you that she was actually my great great grandmother. She's actually my great great grandmother, because my grandmother was Georgia Newson.
Right.
Georgia Newson had 3 children, and one of the daughter, the only daughter she had, her name was Rena what?
No, wait a minute. Georgia.
Yes. So
It was Georgia.
right. So Dave Newson had 3 children with Lucy Brooks, and the 3 children name was Hilliard Newson, Dave Newson,
and Georgia.
and Georgia Newson.
Yes.
Okay. And so Dave Newsom, who we're going to say married Lucille Brooks, together they had 3 children: Dave Newsom, Hilliard Newsom, and Georgia Newsom.
Yes.
Okay. Georgia Newsom had how many children?
Let me see. 2, 3. I think she had 3.
And do you remember their
Two-
names?
Let me see. Was it 2 boys? One. The girl was.
Georgia Newsom was my grandmother. My grandmother had my mother, who was Rena Hill. Rena Hill was the only girl of that union as a result of Georgia having kids. So we were able to trace both sides of our Newsom family and our Brooks family, certainly to the reunion of Lucille Brooks and Dave Newsom Sr.
But then Mama had some more kids.
Right. And those were the Hunts. So you're going to share with us that's the other 4 children that our grandmother had with the last name Hunt. So why don't you give us their names?
Rena and my daddy, Clarence, and Fanny. Yeah, that was that 3 from Lucy.
So it was Clarence, Fanny, and Rena.
Yes,
And Rena married into the Love clan.
Love family.
Okay. And Rena is who my mother's named after.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And so when you were growing up with your when you were growing up with your grandmother,
Okay.
your grandmother who had these older children,
Yes,
they were your uncles,
yes.
uncles and aunt.
And the names was, we call him Uncle Big Dude, but his name was Isaiah Fleming. And then he had Ned Gibbs.
Wasn't there a child that was right above my grandma Georgia? Did she have a half brother right above her?
Ned Gibbs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I remember because Ned Gibbs, I believe, was the one who had a little issue growing up.
Yes. Yes. They say he raped his sister and had a child by her, and his name was Arthur.
Right.
Oh
And-
my God, what a mess.
And so that became our Uncle Arthur,
Yeah.
who was the product of the rape
Yes.
by the half brother.
Right.
And that sent our grandmother's father, who was Dave Newsom Sr., into overcharge because at that point he was on all guards about the future of the women in our family, and especially my mom when she was conceived, because share with the viewers how she was conceived. Rena Shea was conceived by her father, who was Porter Hill.
Right.
And so share with the viewers what you know about Porter Hill and that consummation between Porter Hill and Georgia Newsom.
I don't know too much about that one, but I know they said that was Honey's father. Porter Hill. He was married, I think, at the time that he conceived her with Porter Hill. So I don't know too much about that one.
Okay.
All I know, Porter Hill was her Rena Mae's father.
Okay. So what we're finding out in our interview with my cousin here is that of my mother's sibling, the first one was Arthur, and he went by Arthur Newsom
Yeah.
because the birth father was actually his half. It was the half brother who raped his sister Georgia.
Ned Gibbs.
Ned Gibbs. So Ned Gibbs raped his sister Georgia Newsom.
Right.
Georgia Newsom had a child named Arthur Newsom, and they did not give him the name of Arthur Nibbs, because had they done that, what would people have known?
That he raped his sister.
Right. The reason why we want to make sure everybody is really in tune with this period of our history is because my cousin is going to share what did most blacks, not just our family, but most blacks, especially in the South, in between the time of I'm going to say 1930 all the way up to 1950, how did they address these type of family issues in the black family, especially in the South?
He probably tried to keep it a secret.